Code Video Workshop, Introduction to React. We are going to create a React application from scratch. So we'll see how to prepare all the requirements, how to go through all the different steps until we have something that the user can play with, right? So the very first task is to make sure that we have the correct working environment. So I'm going to ask that by the last time. Does everybody has Node.js and Visual Studio? Yes, brilliant, that's it, right? So because we got that, the next task will be to open a terminal. So what a terminal is? A terminal is this black screen with white text. You know when in the news they talk about hackers and they have lots of text, random text, so this is a terminal, right? So let's open a terminal. In real life, well, not in that, that's a bit optimistic, but on a daily basis, we're not going to use the terminal a lot. But for the setup, still in 2018, we need to type a few commands, right? So this is what we're going to do now. So please open a terminal. If you're a Mac user, literally type terminal, right? Easy. If you are a Windows user, if your version of Windows is very old, you can search CMD. So if you search CMD, it will show you a rudimentary terminal, but it's still valid. If you have Windows 10, I would recommend you to use PowerShell. So again, you search PowerShell, and it will show you the terminal, the blue terminal, or you can also use Git Bash, which comes bundled with Git in case you have Git, which I believe not everybody has Git. So the safer option on Windows is PowerShell, or if you are using Windows XP, if that makes any sense today in 2018, then use CMD, right? And if you're a Linux user, I'm sure you know how to do it. So I have a terminal already open. So let's see what we got here. So yeah, let me stop everything. Here we go. So the first thing I would like to do is to bootstrap the React application. So what that means, at the moment, we got literally nothing, right? I'm going to make the screen a bit bigger to help people in the background. Actually, you see nothing, right? Just give me a second. I'll fix the screen issue in a moment. Right. So I hope you can see the screen. Right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to install something called Create React App. What Create React App is? This is a tool created by Facebook that facilitates the process of creating a web applications. So React, as you may know, was created by Facebook some years ago. It was the response to the king of JavaScript at that time, maybe 5-6 years ago, which was Angular, if you ever heard about AngularJS. And over time, React has been replacing Angular. Today, talking about the market, at least in London, I will tell you that probably between 60 and 70% of the job offers, of the web offers, talk about React easily. So it's clearly the king. The only exception is Vue, but this only applies to China. So everywhere else, React is the king today. And I don't think this will change at least in a couple of or 3 years, which in JavaScript world is like too many times, right? Anyway, how do we install the Create React App thingy? The only thing you have to type is npm install -g, because this will be a global library, and then Create React App. So this will install in your laptop a new application, a command line application called Create React App, right? If you're a Mac user, this won't probably work because Mac is a bit restrictive with the permissions, so you are not an admin user, blah, 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 right? So if you're a Mac user, if you want, you can try, right? I mean, if you're a Windows user, just hit the enter button massively. And if you are, I'll try. It may work for me, it may not work. Just try. I'll show you how to do it if it doesn't work. You see, you may get this error on Mac. permission denied. Why? Because Mac doesn't give us access. So you got that error. The only thing you have to do is run the command again. You don't have to type it again. So just press the up arrow on your keyboard. And then you need to put a prefix, sudo. If you put sudo, you will execute that command as an administrator. And once you type it, it will ask for your password. Be careful with that, because now as soon as you start typing your password, it will get typed, but you are not going to receive any feedback, any asterisk or anything like that. So then you may say, hey, where is my password? It's there, right? It's just not visible for security reasons. But you can type your password. And then hopefully this time, here you go. Right? In my case, it got updated because I installed it previously. But yeah, you should get a similar message. So, do you get the Create React app thing installed?
It says
Yeah.
it's not recognized as an internal.
Correct. If you're a Windows user, right?
Yeah.
If you're a Windows user, you may get an error saying npm is not recognized, blah, 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 blah. So this is one of the reasons why, if you notice, if you attend a developer conference, most of the people have Macs or Linux, because it's terrible that still in 2018 Windows complains about these things. So this happens because I believe, if I'm correct, you open the terminal before you install Node. So if you get that error, npm is not recognized, blah, 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 close the terminal and then open it again. Can we continue? Right. So once we got that, the next step is to create our application. So up until now, we haven't created anything. We just installed the command line tool created by Facebook in 2014 that massively facilitates the process of creating new applications. Okay, let's prove that. So let's create our very first application. So now on the terminal, again, you can type create React app space and then the name of your app. So what's the name of your app? Well, we can put any name. Today, here, I would like to create a very simple application to display a list of heroes. So I would like to have a welcome screen where we can select, for example, Marvel heroes or DC comic heroes and all these things. So once you click on one of the icons or the images, then you will navigate to a details page where we can see some images of Batman, Superman, all these things, right? So this is what I'm going to do today. You can do the same example, or you can create a different topic, like, I don't know, car brands, travel, holiday destinations, I don't know. I'm going to talk about superheroes today. So unless you are very comfortable with what you want to do, my suggestion is just do the same thing, right? Cool. So create React app and then the name of the app. Please note that whatever I type here, it will create a new folder on my system with that name. So I will personally suggest you to avoid weird characters like accents, exclamation mark, all these things. Let's keep it simple, right? So in my particular case, I'm going to call it heroes-app. And so once you got that, you type enter. And look, installing. So now we are bootstrapping the the Heroes app application. If you pay attention to the messages, it will give you a hint about what kind of things are being installed. So essentially, now Facebook is providing us all the tools that, under their point of view, and they know a lot about coding, you need in order to create a successful application. So the first and obvious thing that will get installed is React, right? and then some dependencies, blah, blah, blah. We'll see in a minute what kind of utilities now Facebook is providing. This process may take easily a couple of minutes. So once you hit the button and once you are confident that something is happening under the hood, right, because now it's getting installed, right? In my case, you see it's done. You get this message, right? Like blah, 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 success, created, blah, 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 right? You got that? Yes, right? So now, please be careful because you need to be aware of where your app was created. In my case, I created in the wrong folder, which is a bit fun, because I created inside of the Codeiry platform, right? So that's fine, that's fine. I mean, the good thing about modern development is that projects are self-encapsulated. So you have a folder. In my case, I have the Heroes app folder. And if I don't like it, because I think it's in a horrible position at the moment, I can move it. So you can go, if you're a Windows user, you can go to Windows Explorer, cut the folder, move it anywhere else. That's up to you, right? If you are happy with it, fine. If you are not happy, you can move it. I will use the command line, but you can put it anywhere. Right. So, right, I'm going to do it using Finder. So I'll quickly move the application. Yeah, you see, you have a folder, in my case called Heroes App, right? So I'm going to move it somewhere else. So I've moved my Heroes app to my home directory. But again, you don't necessarily have to do that. Leave it anywhere. That's fine. Right. The next thing I would like to do is to open Visual Studio Code. You remember you installed it, right? A few minutes ago. Because you've installed it already, now please open Visual Studio. I hope you know how to open Visual Studio, right? So if you're a Mac user, just type Visual Studio Code. If you're Windows, it will. If you search for it, it will show up, right? Ready? Visual Studio. Is anybody there? Is anybody lost? Who is lost and why?
My Node version's out of date.
Sorry.
My Node version's out of date.
Okay, but then yeah. Yeah, that could be a bit complicated to fix now, to be honest. Who else is having problems?
Me, I came late as well.
Node version is out of date.
I came late.
Ah, you came late. Okay, so that's a separate problem. You can use Atom, of course. You can use any editor. Any editor. You can use Atom. You can use Sublime. You can use IntelliJ. Anything.
I'm assuming it's out of date.
Anyone else having problems? It could take 2 or 3 minutes to install.
I mean, I've created React apps in the past.
Successful, awesome. Yeah, install all these things. Yeah, cool.
I think they're out of date.
Anyone else having problems?
I'm back in. Thanks to God.
Cheers.
I created the app. Have we done the npm build already while I was away? Oh,
Right, so do you open Visual Studio?
open. Okay, I haven't. Let me.
Okay.
So I just cd into the folder and open Visual Studio.
Yeah, just open Visual Studio for now. Right,
Yeah.
cool. Is everybody in this screen on the Visual Studio? Hello? Guys, hello? Is everybody on the Visual Studio screen, please? Yes, thank you, thank you. I mean, I'll be honest, we've done nothing yet. Right? We spent 15 minutes just doing just the setup, right? But it will get better now. I mean, if you are on this screen, it will be much easier. If you are not on this screen, it will be way more complicated. So, does anyone need any help from me?
Just have to open let's do.
Yes, open. Just leave it there. Yeah, we'll see what to do. I want to have like a, you know, a breakpoint here just to make sure that everyone is following me.
So guys, are you on Visual Studio?
Yes.
Okay, sure.
How was easier
So-
for you?
Exactly.
Cool. Right. Thank you, guys. So if you're in Visual Studio, then we're going to open the project. So we have just created a new project. Let's open it with Visual Studio. How do we open a project with Visual Studio? Technically speaking, our project is just a folder. It's a folder on your file system, right? So you probably see you got a button here called Open Folder. If you don't have that button because of whatever reason, you go to File, Open. Both are equally valid, right? So then you open it, and you now have to find where your Heroes app folder is. If you are a Windows user, it will be probably on your home directory. Do you know what's your home directory in Windows? Could be something like C, users, your username. Will be probably there. If you are a Mac user, it will be on your home directory, the house icon. Do you find your app? Yeah. Yes. Anyone have any issues to find the app?
I went into the folder.
Yeah? Just select it. You click open and then you search where you install the app.
But it's going into my folder.
No, don't go into the folder. Just select it. Just one click. Don't do 2 clicks. If you do 2 clicks, you need to go back. One click.
Then what?
Yes. So just select it and then open it. You see the open button?
Now I have select folder.
Do you open it with Visual Studio?
Yeah. Open
So just select it and then click open.
okay, right click.
And then our Heroes project is open on Visual Studio. So we can play with it. I'm going to add a new breakpoint now. I'm going to do one action and then I go through all of you to make sure that you all have the same screen. So, because this is looking good, so let's recap. We've installed Node, we've installed Visual Studio, we've installed Create React App, we've opened Visual Studio, we've opened the project in Visual Studio, right? So this is the setup. Because this is all the requirement. Now let's see what our Heroes app offers by default. So look, if you go back to the terminal, to the black screen, or white, or sorry, or blue if you're using PowerShell on Windows, look at the message. We suggest that you begin by typing, so it's very human friendly, right? It's telling you what to do next. Let's do it. Let's do it. We need to type cd, and then Heroes app, right? Oh yeah, because I think I move it. Yeah, I move it to my home directory, so I need to go back to my home directory, and then the same thing, cd, Heroes app, correct, and then this is the most important command that every JavaScript developer runs on a daily basis. The most important and sometimes the only one, to be honest. npm start. npm start. This is a standard in modern JavaScript. So if you run npm start after running cd heroes app or cd whatever the name of your app is, it will bootstrap your server. It will show you the welcome screen of your application. So literally type npm start and type enter, and then look. Well, I have another application running. Do you want to open it anyway? Yes, thank you. So then look at what happened. I didn't touch anything, but it automatically went to Google Chrome and it opened a new tab on my Google Chrome, and eventually after a few seconds,
What did you type in?
here you go, npm start. Everyone should be in this view. If you got this icon, you succeed. If you don't get this icon, I'll catch up with you in a second. Right. Who is having problems? Okay, let's have a look.
Should install.
Yeah. Sudo, you forgot npm. Sudo npm install.
Run for every day. And now we do. Maybe I should just try doing
This one should be.
No. I already have it. Was that
Go down. That wasn't a problem. You know when you said we should swap npm
I don't know.
and sudo?
Yeah.
It was actually let go.
Yes,
So you just
sudo
sudo
npm.
npm. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's been installed.
No, I basically I wouldn't
Everything
got
okay?
NPM and I wouldn't
Are you on the page?
Yeah. That already using it at work, but I think because I updated it, created its own problems.
Yeah. So you should install Node, Visual Studio. Okay. Can you yeah, please. It's going to be very complicated. Visual environment, right? You need to open a web browser.
Oh, that's like in my
Anyone else is struggling to get this view?
yeah.
Yep. SPX. Oh. Oh. That's weird, right? That's a Windows thingy. I don't know what to say. Like that's a Windows issue. It's like frozen. I will try again to do this. Can you cancel that? Control C? No, sí, esto es Control C. So, let me there you go. You they can be installed, create React app, got the key, create EP, React. React has nothing slash app.
Okay. Oh, it's separate another one.
Yes,
This will install it locally.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the
It could be a system problem with privileges, but at least you can install it locally. NPM, no, NPM. N for network, N, P, NPM, no package manager. Anyone else can help?
Okay, so you have it. I just put in him. I just put in him.
you have to go to servers. Have the directory
Yeah, I'm inside it.
it's inside.
Get back to the
And then you have always from
Guys, we have to continue.
We do have a problem here.
So do you so Meetup? So do you install it?
Yeah.
So where is it? PWD.
On my desktop now. I don't
It's not there. So,
We just deleted one.
you deleted it,
Because
right?
it didn't.
npm create no sudo wait sudo npm install. So you merge both commands. So first npm install create React app, and then once this is done, you need to do the other one. So create React app, Heroes app. Yeah. And then once this is done, this is because you have an old version of Node. So I cannot help you with that. You should try to. You need to upgrade the version of Node. If you Google, I'm sure it will tell you how to do
Yeah,
it.
I already run these commands.
Yeah. The thing is, I'm sorry, but I'll need maybe 20 minutes to fix the issue. So So I cannot help you. Sorry about that.
Guys, we need to continue. Otherwise, we'll stay here until New Year's Eve, right? If you had any issue to get this screen, my suggestion until the end of the session is just listen to how we proceed, because we are recording this. Then tomorrow, quietly, you can stop the video, you can try, right? And if you have any questions, I'm happy to support on Meetup. So drop a message on the event, and we'll be happy to support you. Right? That's all, because otherwise we've done nothing yet, right? Cool. So if hopefully most of you got this screen, and if not, what I will recommend you is to pair with someone. If you struggle to get this screen, I'm sure someone on your left or on your right did it. So you can pair. One of the good things about coding is we used to pair a lot. Pairing means we solve problems together. Companies like SkyTV, they do pair programming all the time, full time. So you should be really good at pairing to join companies like SkyTV, right? So, right, we got that. And you noticed, we got a nice message here saying, edit source app and save to reload. So that means it's asking us to go back to Visual Studio, because we already opened the project, and find that file. Source, oh, look at that. I wasn't expecting. Find source app.js and save to reload. What that means, I don't know. Let's go to Visual Studio. On the left-hand side, you'll get the Project Explorer. So here, you can navigate through the different files and folders, right? So remember, source src/app.js. Fair enough? src/app.js. You get the file?
Yeah.
Awesome. So as you may have noticed, you know what language is that? HTML, right? And what language is that? JavaScript, correct. So React can do something very exotic, which is it combines JavaScript and HTML in one file. This is very sexy. That never happened before Facebook had this idea. Why this is interesting? Because even though these are separate things, right? JavaScript is one thing, HTML is another, they're separate standards. In reality, what React offers you is the possibility to change everything at the same time, which is nice, because this is about productivity. You can create really good applications in shorter time than other alternatives. This is super productive. And this piece of HTML, if you pay attention, if you have seen a bit of HTML in your life, you can pretty much see that this is the source code that generates this file. Source code, result, source code. Nice to meet you, Bob. Right? So I would like to change that file to see what happened. So I'm going literally to remove, now be careful, because some people remove random lines and then you'll break everything. But if you see there is a header, you see the header? So just get rid of the header. Just remove it. So your HTML is simple, it's just one block, one div. And then once you have that div, just display a welcome message. Welcome to the Heroes app. Whatever, just random text, right? And then please save it. You can save the file with Ctrl+S, Command+S, right? I don't have to save it, because one of the things we do here in the bootcamp, talking about productivity, is how to save files automatically, so I don't have to click anywhere. Cool, so once you save the file, if you go back to the browser, look, you got the message, right? It's happening automatically. I'll change it again. I change the message, and Chrome automatically takes the changes, right? to see how cool this is, you don't have to do that, but to see how cool this is, we can do something. We can display, I like to do that, to display both the Visual Studio and Chrome side by side. With Windows, you can snap windows on the left and the right. With Mac, modern Mac, you can do that as well. You see? Again, you don't have to do that if you don't want, But just to prove it works, look, I change something. Oh, it takes less than a second. Oh, right? It happens automatically. I don't have to press the refresh button. I will spend probably, I don't know how many days of my life clicking here. It doesn't refresh, not anymore, right? Modern software development. Right. So this is our welcome page. Let's bring a meaningful title. So let's put welcome to the Heroes app. Right, question, off topic, HTML. How do we make the title bigger, bolder, or
H1.
H1? Thank you. Someone is listening. H1, right? So you put H1, look. Wow. Much better, right? It's the title, something big. Right, because we got the title, you remember that this is the welcome page, right? I would like to display a couple of images. One image for Marvel and another image for DC Comics. And I will need your help because I have no idea about what they talk about. But anyway, it's not important. So let's find the images. We want to display images. Where do we find images? In Google, right? So we can go to Google and I'm going to search DC Comics logo, for example. So hopefully I'm going to maximize Chrome again. Thank you. So DC Comics logo, images, the first one will work, right? Just the logo. Again, this is not a UI, UX session. This is not about making a pixel perfect application. Yes, it's about learning how to integrate the different aspects of modern software development. So once you have a nice picture, I click somewhere. So just do right click, save it into your hard drive. And then the question is, where do we save the image? Inside of our project. Because our project is going to be bundled. So that means you need to find again where your project is. I hope at this stage you all know where you created the project. And then eventually, here you go. So this is an important thing. When you create an app with React, with Create React App, everything, every file should be saved inside of the SRC folder. If you drop the image outside of the SRC folder, React will complain. So just simply leave it there for now. Okay? And then, let's do the same with Marvel. Marvel logo, right? Now, even though this is not a UI session, let's think a bit, because the DC logo is a square, right? So if we bring a rectangle for Marvel, it will look a bit weird, right? So you know how to search for files with a specific size in Google Images. Tools, and then what? Size, yes. Do you remember the size of the DC logo? It was 1200 pixels. So you can search images with a specific size. So then, as you can see, the first result, that image will match the size. Again, if you don't know how to do it, doesn't matter. This is not the goal of the session. We'll do another session about UI, UX. But for now, it's okay. Just find the nice image about Marvel, save us, and then the same thing. Save it into the source folder of your Heroes app. So once you've done it, are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Thank you. You can see that now we got both images inside of the source folder, right? And actually, you can even click on them. You got DC, you got Marble. That's fine, right? The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to rename them because this looks horrible, right? I don't want to use these names. This is optional. But one of the key aspects of software is simplicity. If you can do the same thing in a simpler way, do it. This name is horrible. So you can rename files with Visual Studio doing right click, rename. Or you can simply type enter. So I'm going to put a simple name like DC-comics. And same for Marvel, right? We got Marvel image here. Let's rename it with Marvel Marvel Comics, maybe? I don't know. Right. Once we got the two images, and this is one of the most important aspects of the session, is to understand how to display images on the screen with React. The process is very simple, and there are two steps involved. Step number one is to import the image. So we have to import the image into this component. And once we have imported the image, we have to display it in the HTML section. First we import it, and then we display it. So how do we import the image? Look, the process is very simple. We have to type import, and then we're going to create a variable where the image will be. You can put any name here, any name. Trust me, any name. So to keep it simple, I'm going to call it DC Comics. You can put any name again. And then where DC Comics is. I'm going to type from. Import something from. And from is the location of the image. Where is our where is our DC Comics image? It's in the same folder as app.js, you see? They're in the same folder, src folder. The way to reference files on the same folder is with /. So you type import DC Comics from, and then the name of the file, dccomics.png. So now, question for you. Will the DC Comics image get displayed now? Yes or no? No. Brilliant. Why not?
The image tag has to be there.
Correct. You are right. That's good. We imported, so the first part is done, but we are not displaying it, right? So this is useless. Let's verify that. If we go back to Google Chrome, if we check our app, you see, still no changes, right? And actually, do you remember when you type npm start? So you remember the terminal. Look, compile with warnings. DC Comics is defined but never used. This is a warning. It's not like a fatal error. The app still works. But that's why modern development is so good, because it's giving you real-time feedback about what's going on. Maybe you may take, from a human point of view, a couple of minutes. Hey, what the problem is? Hey, look, I imported. Where is my image? It's nowhere, right? But if you got that message in the terminal, then it's way easier to debug where the problem is. Okay, so you told me before how to fix it. Can you tell me again how to add the image in HTML? AMG, and then what? Source, and then what? DC Comics, note the curly brackets, because we want to access a variable, we need to use curly brackets. Is that correct? Yes? No? Wrong? This doesn't work. Why? Correct. We need to open the tag. Look at the colors. One of my favorite, even though it's not obvious, features of Visual Studio is how helpful and subtle with the colors is. You see the div? It's blue, right? There is a tag. You see the image? Sorry, the H1, it's blue, it's a tag. But the image is white. Why white? It's like something is not correct, right? So you said we need to open the tag, and now it became blue. However, Another good feature of Visual Studio. Red, wrong. Why red? Why wrong? Close the tag, correct. Correct. So generally speaking, with HTML, we can close tags like that. You open the tag, and then you close it. However, with React, one of the differences using React is that we can use a shorthand. So instead of doing that, we can do that. Just an image. Any question? Will it show the image now? Yes or no? Why? No, why not? It's not the correct source. Why is not the correct source?
We already imported.
It's not defined.
It's not defined. What is not defined? We got the image here. We imported the image
You have to define somehow.
to define. To define what? No, but DC Comics is defined here. So we search the image, we save it into this variable, and once it's saved into the variable, we display it. So the way to prove it, the first thing I will do is I will check the terminal. That's the first thing. I will check the terminal. And now you may be saying, hey, this is a bit boring, right? Do we need to keep switching the terminal? I don't want to do that, right? I want to go back to my old job. I don't want to do that all the time. Okay, we can do something a bit different. You don't have to do it now if you don't want to. But I'll show you how to display the terminal and the code side by side on the same window. Productivity. I don't want to keep switching windows all the time. So I'm going to stop the server. Again, you don't have to do that if you don't want. With Control-C, you stop the server. And now with Visual Studio, you can open an integrated terminal. You can go to View and then Terminal. You see? And we got the terminal at the bottom. Productivity. We got everything in one place. And then we can again type npm start. Again, are you sure? Yes, thank you. So it will again open the server in the browser. You see? So now, if something goes wrong, I get the message at the bottom. I can easily identify where the problem is. If I forget to add this closing div and I save the file, you see at the bottom, wrong, you failed, right? So the fixing journey is super quick. In the past, that was way more complicated. But now, fortunately, in almost 2019, we can do that easily. Cool.
So
So
what do you do? Do you type in
npm start. Yes, you have to type that with npm start, with like that, this highlighted text. Right? Cool. So we got two things. First of all, we were asking whether this will work or not. I think that will work. Let's double check. Yes. I mean, it's a huge image, right? We can think about the styling. But technically speaking, we got our image displayed. Do you know, probably, you got this warning as well. It's a warning, it's not an error. IMG elements must have an alt property. Do you know what's that?
Yeah, we need to define the name.
The link.
Yeah,
It's what shows up if the image doesn't.
Say it again?
It's what shows up if the image doesn't.
Just give an alt text for the image.
Yeah, it's given an alt text, but what that alt text means?
It's just a descriptive text for when we hover over.
Yeah. So according to the HTML standard, the alt attribute that I'm putting now, and it will just fix the issue, even though this is a bit like, you know, with an empty text it means like nothing. So this is for impaired people. For example, for blind people. Right? A blind person who unfortunately cannot read the screen, they can use special web browsers. So these special web browsers can read the content. Obviously, if I have the title, the screen reader will be able to talk to the person. The title of the web page is Welcome to Hirosa. However, how can we read an image? We can't, right? Maybe in the future with the artificial intelligence, this will change. But still today, we can't read an image. So that's why the old field will help impaired people to understand what's the content of the image. We can put any text. And obviously, still eventually will work. Let me show you. Right, question for you. Do you know how to display now the marble image? I hope you know because I'm not going to do it. So I want to display the marble image underneath. How do we do it? Sorry, can you speak louder?
Import the Marvel image.
Import the image, correct. How do we import the image? Import what? Can I put here Donald Trump?
At the top.
Let's do it, just for testing purposes, right? If it works with Donald Trump, it will work with any variable name, right? From where?
Third folder.
From the folder. We're in the same folder. We just need to reference the name of the image. What's the name of the image? Whatever your name of the image is. In my case, it's Marvel-Comics, right? And the format. Look, if I don't put the format, if I failed importing the image, the console will immediately tell you about it. Fair enough. So, yeah, we got now Donald Trump here. So will Donald Trump be displayed? Yes or no? No. Why not?
No image there.
Correct. We need to add the tag, right? Right. So let's see what happened now. We got a marble, right? That's good. It works, right? Yeah. Obviously, don't do this kind of test in your next company, right? So let's rename that to Marvel Comics, and then let's bring a meaningful alt title for screen readers. Marvel Comics logo, something like that, right? Make sense? Cool, awesome. Now, because this looks horrible, I would like to do a bit of CSS, just a bit, right? Are you familiar with CSS? Colors, backgrounds, all these things, right? So I'm going to do the minimum CSS just to make sure that at least the app is not about styling. It's not about beautifulness. It's about usability. This is unusable, right? No one is going to use this application. So the first thing I would like to do, and you should do that on every single project, is deal with images. Images are a bit special. Because sometimes they don't really listen to instructions. Because an image has an aspect ratio, blah, blah, blah. So, can you please open app.css? So app.css is where the CSS of your app is. Actually, you can remove everything. Maybe you can leave the first 3 lines, but you can remove everything. Let's tidy up before doing any change. And once you've cleaned up everything, you can add a rule for images. So if I type img here, that means that whatever I type here will apply to every single image in your app. So this is not a hack, but this is a kind of best practices. So when you have an image, you can do that. You can do max width 100%. If you type that, you make sure that the images will fit to whatever the parent container is. I don't think this is going to make any change yet on the browser, not yet, but we're just setting up the working environment. So now, let's do a bit of HTML. I want to display both images side by side. To do that, we need to change the structure a bit. By definition, as you can probably see already, HTML is block-based. So by definition, and there are obviously some exceptions, when you display an element, it fits one line, the next element will get displayed underneath. But I don't want to display them underneath. I want to display them side by side on the same row. To do that, we can do the following. We can create another div. A div is just a container, right? A div means nothing. And then let's add a class name. Do you know what a class name is? So on HTML, you can put class. So class is the attribute to style that part of the user interface. However, with React doesn't really like the word class. Why? Out of scope. We cannot use class. We should use class name. If you use class, React will complain. If we show the console in the browser, we say, hey, you cannot use class, please use class name. Okay, thank you. Right? So you put class name, and then this will be like the container of our element. So yes, any class name, for example, container. And then I want to have two divs inside of it. The first div for the first column, the second div for the second column. So I will add another div underneath, class name. Again, feel free to put any name here. I'm going to call it column to reflect that this will be a column. And then the same thing with the second one. Div class name equals column. So then simply move the first image to the first column and move the second image to the second column. Right? So do you think anything is smelly in this code?
Yeah, class name is same.
Class name the same. No, that's fine. You can reuse class names. This is one of the good things about CSS. You can reuse the same class names to reuse the same style. So that's absolutely fine.
We can't use the ID.
We can't reuse the ID. Okay, fair enough. That's fine. But we're not using any ID. We're just using classes. So if you are the lead developer of your team and one colleague sends you this code to get reviewed, will you accept it or will you reject it, and why?
Indentation is not invalid.
Correct. This is horrible. Never do that, right? Look at the indentation. So HTML, same with JavaScript, same with CSS, has some functional rules. The code should be indented. You see? Because that gives you an idea about the hierarchy. So if I start reading the screen, I can have an idea about the content, but first of all, this is the first issue. Because image belongs to the column. It's inside of the column. You see the div? This is a div. The image is inside of the div. So it should be indented. Obviously, the same thing happened on the second image. I will tell you a hint. If you receive this kind of code and you don't want to go one by line refactoring everything because it's not your job, you don't get paid for that, Visual Studio is here to help. With Visual Studio, you can do right click and you will find a very sexy option called Format Document. So if you click on Format Document or you type the shortcut, which in Mac is Option Shift F, on Windows I think is Control Shift F, I believe. Well, anyway, you have the shortcut on the right hand side. Look, it formats the document completely, right? We can play with this. We can go very aggressive. Look, this is the worst piece of code ever written, right? It's impossible to understand that snippet. Again, right click, format document, shorten. Very useful trick of Visual Studio. Right, so we are almost done with this part. Because now our structure is very simple, we can clearly lay out it according to what we want. And I'll show you another hint. Generally speaking, we work with Visual Studio, but sometimes we want to prototype. We want to test quickly. How if I change the color, if I change the background, if I you know, we may take us few iterations until we are happy with the result. So to simplify things, to improve productivity, we can do something. We can test our CSS with Google Chrome directly. If you're not using Google Chrome, you can do that as well. My suggestion, at least for coding, is to use Google Chrome. So look, we should open DevTools. How do we open DevTools? You can do F12, or you can do right click anywhere and click inspect. Right? So when you click inspect, now you see we can select parts of the app. Does it make sense? So I can select the image, I can remove it, I can remove things, right? So you can play with it. This is not persisting anything. So if I refresh the page, everything goes back to normal. That's why this is so good, because I can, for example, say, hey, what happens if I change the background color, right? Hello, I'm new in this company, I think the background color should be blue. Okay, 5, right? But again, we can test that. So the only line I would like to change here to show you how it works is we said before that with HTML, by default, everything is block-based. So we can change that behavior by displaying elements side by side. How do we display elements side by side? Look, you find the container. Does anyone know how to display them side by side, the two columns? Correct, correct, correct. If you start with CSS maybe 10 years ago and you haven't touched it on the last 5 years, you don't know what flex is. Historically speaking, there were different ways to do that. But now, look, if you select the container, you click here on elements of the style, you can do display flex. And you see, now we got the two items side by side. Look at what happens if I remove it. You see? This is better, right? It's more usable. If we have a tablet, we can easily click on that, right? Also, we can experiment a bit with the paddings and margins. So for example, if we want to add some paddings, if we don't want to display the image at the very left until the very right, we can type, for example, padding 30 pixels, you see, to have some gutters. I mean, I'm not going to do anything about that. I'm not going to make it longer. Just to give you the idea that obviously you can experiment. And again, once you are done with the changes, remember, we need to go back to Visual Studio, go to the CSS, and then apply the necessary styles. So remember, on the container, that's it. So now we get the two images. So if we refresh, the changes are persisted. Any question? No? Right, so we got the two images, and before giving the control to Alex, I would like to show you something else very quickly. So this is our app, essentially. 2 images in 2 columns, easy, right? There is no complication. That's fine. But then you can imagine that this will grow eventually. We're going to have different views, different interfaces, a menu, login. I don't know. We will have eventually a complex application. Because of that, one of the good things that React gives us is the possibility to create a component. A component is a function, I'll show you in a minute, that encapsulates a specific piece of code. For example, if I want to create a component for my homepage, this is the homepage. Do you agree on that? The homepage. You have your welcome message, your list of heroes, whatever. So we can do that. We can create a function called home, or you can use any naming conventions here. It's just a JavaScript function. And then that function will return some HTML. Which HTML? The one we have below. Let me show you. So we have our home function, and the home function will return the welcome script, right? Something important to note is that with React, whenever you have a function like that one, you always need one single root element. So my suggestion is always create a div. We have one root element, and then inside of the div, paste your stuff. And obviously format it, as we already know, format document. Yeah, so then it looks nice. So do you know how to display now the home component? Will it be displayed now? Yes or no? Why not? Correct. We have created a home component, but in reality, look at the warning. Home is defined, awesome, thank you for that, but never used. We have to remember what we did with the image. The same thing. We have the function. How do we display the home component here? Say it again, please. Correct. That's correct. That's correct. Look, that's it. That's it. React is a declarative programming language. You declare what you want to do. We have created a home function, and then we just display it, right? And look, still works. So can I do that? What happens if I display the home component twice? Correct. Look, which is pointless, but proves the theory, right? So components, first of all, encapsulate logic, and then give you the chance to reuse the same functionality multiple times without having to repeat the same code again, and again.
Can we use an ID attribute in each element?
ID attribute? No. The way React works is you create a function, and the way you display this function is like an HTML tag. That's it. It's the way React works.
So in our function,
Yep.
we have defined some element
Yep.
with a class attribute, for example.
Yep.
That you cannot use ID attribute if you want to use.
Well, here
Yeah.
you can use an ID if you want. Yes. Here you
If
can.
you use the same element. first.
Well, that's an issue, of course. So with HTML, IDs are supposed to be unique. So if I put an ID here, whatever, that may not be fully correct because we are rendering the same ID twice. So that may not be fully correct. So as far as possible, try to use class names. With React, you don't need to use IDs.
What would be a reason for that?
Say it again, sorry?
What would be any general reason if that doesn't appear?
Sorry, guys. Sorry. Can you please? Sorry, can you repeat
It's
again?
like a common follow-up. When I move back to the function, I'm not getting anything back.
You don't get anything back. Okay, I'll be with you in a minute. So, I mean, that's it from my side. Now I'm going to give the control to Alex, who will...
Why the name of the function is with capital letter? With low letter doesn't work.
Correct. That's a good point. So Alex, is it Alex, right? Alex. Alex said, what happens if I don't use capital letter? Look. So that looks correct, but look, the browser doesn't render anything. And even further, you got an error. Warning, the tag home is unrecognized. If you render React component, starts with name with an uppercase letter. React is really good with the feedback. If you fail, it will tell you why. So whenever you create a React component, please use capitals. The component should start with capital letter. Once you change it, you got it. Okay? Cool. So Alex will tell us now how to navigate from the home page to the details page, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hello.
Sorry, Bala, let's catch up later. Sorry, we're a bit late.
Sure.
Thank you. Sorry, mate.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so React router. We are going to use the React router to create the navigation in our app, in our website. And first of all, we will have to install it because it's built on top of React. And we should. I'm so nervous. Okay, so first of all, we have to install it with npm install React router DOM. So as you can see, we installed React Router DOM because we are currently building an app for the web. And we are just going to wait for everything to be installed.
Excuse me. You know, if you say save dev, what does that do? You know, if there's an option to save dev when you install an npm
So when you do save dev, you probably notice you got a package.json file. You see at the bottom, if you open the file, so that's like the interface of your project. When you save with -save-dev, it will add a new line in here. In the we don't even have that by default, but it will create a new block called development dependencies, dev dependencies, and it will add that there. Why this is useful? Because if you are working with someone else, and even if you are working by yourself, if you change the laptop, at the moment, we will need to install React Router DOM manually again. npm install React Router DOM, which is not a big thing. But what happens if you have a big project with 50 dependencies? You don't want to install them manually every time you change the laptop, right? Or if you have a colleague, you don't want your colleague to install them manually and spend half a day doing that. No. That's why when you do dash-save or dash-save-dev, next time you install the project, it will be much simpler to install your dependencies because they will be listed into the package.json file. That's right.
Okay. Now let's go back into our app.js. And the first thing we have to do is to import our browser router. And we just have to type in import browser router and we will give it an alias that we will use in our app from now on. So we'll say as router and we'll install this from our React Router DOM. Now we have this component that we can take and use it into our app.js. But we have to make sure that the component will have only one child root. So we can add it right here and take the closing tag and make sure everything is inside of it. Okay, but to create the navigation in our application, we need to have some routes. But just before we do that, let's create two more components that will display the content of our pages. So we will just create two more functions. Not here, right beneath our first component, and we will just write function. Let's create it first for the DC Comics. Oops. And for now, our function will return just a simple div that will contain the title of the page. And maybe with an H1, so we can see the title. And this is the DC Comics page. And we'll do the same thing for the Marvel page. We can just copy paste it and put it underneath and change the title. Okay, and as we can see, we have an error.
No, the server died, so we need to start it again. Sometimes, that's one of the good things of having the terminal in place, right? Because sometimes it dies, right? Why? I don't know. Because it doesn't want to work anymore today, right? But if that ever happens, just npm start again, and then it will eventually start the server. Eventually. Right.
So as you can see in in the errors in our terminal, it says that this comics is defined but never used. We will have to use these components into our app.js files like we did with the home page. But we are not going to do it like this because we will start using the routes. So we could actually navigate from a page to another. So first of all, we have to import our route next to the router with the comma between them. And then start using the route as components into our main div. Let's see. Okay, so the route component accepts a path prop, and the path prop will be a string that will describe the URL for the page that we want to render. So we will just write path, and we'll use the slash, which will be the path for the home component. And we can delete this component from here. And now all we have to do is close our div. So this will be our first route for the home component. And whenever the URL will match this path, it will render the home component. We can do the same for the other two components. You can just copy paste. And create another path for DC Comics. Where we'll render the DC Comics page. We can just copy paste it from here to make sure we have the same naming. And we'll do the same for Marvel. So now we have 3 components, 3 routes. We can browse from one to the other. And if we go to our browser, and we change the URL just to see if what we've done so far it works.
Sorry, could you just quickly go back to where you defined the route at the start, please?
Sorry, where?
Where you define
The import.
this one at the top.
Yes. There? Okay, so I imported the route here next to this one. Okay, so now we are on the Marvel page. But as you can see, we do have the content from the Marvel page, but we also have the content from the home page. And this shouldn't have happened. But there's an easy fix for this. And if we go back to our Visual Studio, we can add to the route component an exact path, an exact prop, sorry. And this will fix our problem. So now if we go back to our browser, we'll see that we'll have only the content of the Marvel page. So let's just go back and see what's happening with the exact prop. So as you can see that the slash will render the home component. And next route will have the slash and the route for the other component. So basically, before we added the exact prop, this component rendered both of the components. But once we added this, the home component will be rendered only when the path will match exactly the URL. So let's just check the other pages as well. So if we go on the home page, we have the content of the home page. And if we go on the DC Comics page, we will have the content of the DC Comics page. But can anybody see a problem with the way we're navigating through our pages? Yeah, exactly. So we don't want to change the URL every time we want to go to another page. We want to use links. And the way to do that is to import another component called link. Oops, sorry. And we will want to have our image inside our link component. So whenever we click on the image, we could go on the next page. So we can just rename these divs into link and just make sure we take them correctly. Yeah, it should work. No, I think I will do it one by one now. Oh, I see what's happening. It was auto-filling for me. So the link component will act as the A tag in the normal HTML. But we will have to add a to-prop that will take us to the page that we want by adding inside of it a path, just like we did with the routes. So now if we want to move into our DC Comic page, can anybody tell me what path I can add?
Below, yeah.
Exactly. I can actually copy this and put it into my to-prop. And we can do that for the Marvel as well. Okay, and let's go and see if this works. So now when we are on the home page, if we click on the DC Comics logo, we'll go on the DC Comics page. And if we go on the Marvel logo, we will be able to reach the Marvel page. So this is everything that I'm going to present about React Router for now. And I will ask Ricardo to come back to this seat because I was so nervous. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You want to do the next part?
Oh, God, no.
Right, we are almost done. We're almost done. I would like to show you something very important in React, which is the way to reuse components. So Alex already prepared the DC Comics page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to display 3 superheroes alongside, and we'll see how to componentize them. This will be very easy, but this is very, very, very important. This is one of the most important aspects in React. So look, we got the DC Comics page here, right, with our title, all good, right? So I'm going to add, do you remember what we did on the home page with the container and the column? You remember div class container and then the column? So I'm going to reuse the same CSS because I want to create another structure of different columns. So look, I leave the title there and I will type div class name equals container. And then inside of the container, div class name equals column. Thank you. Column, right? So then let's display just 3 DC Comics heroes. For example, Batman, right? And then let's do some copy paste. Batman, and then in a different column, we got, tell me one.
Robin.
Which one?
Robin. Batman and Robin.
And Robin, okay, fair enough. Batman and Robin, nice. And then you know, for
Wonder
equality reasons. Which one?
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman, yes. Right, so we got 3 superheroes. I mean, without any picture, just the title. So how do you think the 3 big titles will get displayed? In one row or in one column? In one row. Why? Correct, because of the container and the column. So let's prove the theory. Look, that's technically speaking correct. I mean, it's not pretty. It's not, I mean, you know, it's not Airbnb website. But I mean, it works, right? Everything is displayed in the same row. So let's leave it there for now. Let's leave it there for now. Let's try to find some images. So first of all, Batman. We've done that already, right? So we literally have to do the same thing. Find the nice image. This one. Save it. So Batman. Let me find Robin as well. Why not? Yeah, anyway, this is okay. Batman, Robin, and eventually Wonder Woman. Here you go. So you find just 3 images, you don't know them, right? You'll see in a minute why I'm doing all these things. So, because we have the images already here, let's display them. So, you'll tell me, what do we need to do to display the 3 images? Import them, correct. Let's import them, right? Let's import them. Import, Batman. How we do that? Import what? Batman. What else? From Batman.png, right? It's a PNG. You got it here. Cool. And then, next one. Import what? Robin. From where? Same thing, right? Robin.png. Finally, import what? Import. From the same thing, right? Will this work? Right, look. We got an error. Why we got an error? In case that happens to you. Unexpected token. This is not valid in JavaScript. You see the hyphen, the dash? So when you create a variable in JavaScript, so you know what's the technical syntax of that word? Wrong. This is not about JavaScript. This is about general software programming. So in software programming, if you type a word like that, what's the technical way to describe that? This is a classic job interview. If you want to get a job as a developer, you should know that. A snake case, wrong. That's not a snake case. So this is a snake case. That's a snake case. Because it's like a snake, you see? It goes up and down. Camel case, wrong. This is camel case, because it's like a camel. Come on, what's that? What? Quotation marks. No. Kebab? No. Wait a minute. You say kebab? Yes, that's kebab case. You know why this is kebab case? You know when you go to a kebab place with the plate, it goes through the meat, right? This is kebab case. It's a bit informal. The technical way to describe it is Lisp case, because Lisp, which is a very old programming language, it was the first one to introduce it, right? But nowadays, if you said that this is Lisp case, you feel a bit, who I'm talking with, right? This is kebab case. It's a bit trendy, more trendy. But so kebab case is not valid as a variable name, right? So we should use that, which is camel, correct? And do you know what's that?
No.
Last question. What was that? What? No? Free beer for the first one finding the answer. Upper camel case, very optimistic. Wrong. No one? No? So I heard something promising. Pascal case, that's correct. This is Pascal case. Because again, Pascal was the first programming language that used that, right? Anyway, It was a bit off topic, sorry about that. So let's just use camel case. So we got our free images already, so let's display them. How do we display Batman? Easy, right? We know that already. We've been doing that a few times today. So let's just display img src equals Batman, alt, Batman. You know these things, right, already. We copy, same for Robin, 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 and then finally Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman. Will it work? Yes or no? And why?
Yeah.
Yes? Why not, right? That should work. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. It works. Cool. At least this is what we wanted. We got the free superheroes with the free images. But now, look at the code. Even though this is correct, this is technically speaking correct, you see that we're doing the same thing again, and again, right? Boom. 1 to 4 lines to display Batman. 4 lines to display Robin. 4 lines to display Wonder Woman. This doesn't scale. Imagine that you are Netflix. You have probably thousands of TV shows and movies. You don't want to do the same thing hundreds of thousands of times, right? That's why React is helpful, because with React, we can create one piece of code once and we can reuse it multiple times. I'll show you how. And this is the most important thing. I'm going to create another function, which is going to be another component. I'm going to call it hero. And the hero component will return something like that. A structure, which is a column, with there's a typo here, by the way, with the superhero name, and then the image. So now, can I replace everything with free times hero? What will happen now? Sorry, say it again? Correct, that should display Batman 3 times. Which is nice, right? But this is not what we wanted to do. So you got the idea, right? So when you create a component, you can reuse it multiple times. It's cool, right? Nice. However, we want to customize each hero. The structure is correct because for each hero, we want to display a title, we want to display an image, we'll do something else. So the structure is correct, but we want to change the name of the hero each time we invoke it. The way to do it, and this is probably the most important lesson today, is how to pass data from here to there. This is very simple. The only thing you have to do is to pass attributes. So what's an attribute? You can do that. Name equal Batman. Name equal Robin. Name equal Wonder Woman. Will this work? Yes or no? And why? No, why not? Correct. So to me, this function looks very nice. This is a very sexy piece of code. However, the component itself is not expecting anything. I can type anything here, but it will get ignored. So if we go back to the browser, still Batman 3 times. So how do we hijack, how do we connect both components? Yep, we need to pass something here. This is a function. The function can receive an argument. And the way to do it is you can display a variable name here. Technically speaking, we used to call it props. But again, it doesn't matter. You can call that Kim Jong-un, right? You can use any name, doesn't matter. If you want to get a job, use props, right? Use props. And then props is an object that handles all the information that we are passing here. If you want to understand more about objects, I recommend you, first of all, to subscribe to our YouTube channel and then to watch the introduction to JavaScript video we recorded a couple of weeks ago. We explain what an object is, how to manipulate objects, how to blah, 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 all these things, right? But for now, this is just an object. Because it's an object, I can replace the hard-coded Batman with props dot, what's the name of the property? Name, exactly. Name, right? Will this work? Yes or no? Yes, no?
No.
Why yes, why no?
Batman is behind in there as well.
Batman needs to be changed here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good point. Yes, that's a good spot, right? You see, that's still hard coded. Props of name. Will this work? Yes or no? No. Why not, Bala?
The image, Batman. Yes.
Source, correct. But will the name of the hero be correct or not? Okay. No, why not, Bala?
No, it's Jeff. It's one of
It's Jeff, sorry.
The path. The match.
The path. Which path?
No, I mean the file name.
The file name.
Yeah,
Which file name?
of the JPEGs.
Of the JPEGs. Oh, that's a good thing. We didn't pay attention to the extension of the file, right? Let's review that. Batman, PNG. That's correct. Robin. Where is Robin? Robin, PNG. Wonder Woman, JPEG. Where is Wonder Woman? That's correct, mate. What is the problem with the... That's fine. So the problem is not there. That should be okay. I mean, we displayed the images before, right? So images are fine. So, will the name of the hero be correct or not? Yes. Will the image of the hero be correct or not? No. Okay, but listen, we do Agile. You see the ball in the corner? So Agile is the way we create software nowadays. So with Agile, we do baby steps. Baby step, check if it's what you want, and then iterate. Go again. Don't try, like in the Hollywood movies, to build the app from scratch and then refresh and everything works. That doesn't happen in real life, right? Only an Independence Day movie. So in here, we need to do a small change and then go to the browser. And if it's okay, continue. If not, review. Look, that's okay. That's good. We got the correct titles. So then we now want to change the image. Can you tell me how to pass the image of each hero here? Source equals Batman. We imported the variable on top, right? Will it help if I move that component to the top? Yes. Look, let me do something. Let me move that file to the very top, so then we can see the imports clearly, right? You see? Now it's easier. Source Batman. Is that important? Can I type something else? Can I put Brexit here? No, why not? Well, we'll see. For now, let's be a bit more conservative. So SRC, Robin, right? And finally, you tell me the last one. SRC equals Wonder Woman. So will it work now, yes or no? No, why not?
The function still has...
Correct. Again. So we've been moved to the free end zone because our function is ignoring us, right? So our hero function is literally displaying Batman, right? So the same thing, right? We've tried. So half of the problem is sorted, but now what? You tell me, right? On the, what is it? Hero, right? So what do we need to change here? The source. What do I have to put here?
The prop.name.
Props.source. Why source? Correct. But the thing is, the only reason why I have to put source is because we put source here. But I can rename that. I can put Brexit. I can do that, right? Now, will it work, yes or no? Yes, why not? Yes, no. No, it won't work, right? Correct. If we put Brexit here, will it work, yes or no?
Yeah.
It should, right? Sometimes it's good to play with very aggressive naming conventions just to prove the theory, right? It doesn't matter which name you use, as far as it's consistent, as far as the component, one component sends that property name and the other one receives the same property name. So let's just rename Brexit with SRC. By the way, if you didn't notice, we can select the same word multiple times with Visual Studio. So you select this one and you press Command D on Mac and Control D on Windows, and it selects them all. So then we can change it, right? That's pretty cool. JavaScript. That's a bit short, right? So will it work now, yes or no?
Yep.
It's changed the what? Yeah, I changed it everywhere, I hope. Yeah, look at that, it's changed. So that should work now, right? Here you go, that's fine, it works. So now question, this is the very last question for you and we are done for today. What happened if our business manager, he's reviewing our work and he's liking it or she's liking it, and because he likes the strategy or she likes the strategy, we like to add a new property. We got the name of the superhero, we got the image, but now we want the powers. So you'll tell me, how do we display the powers of each superhero? Powers equals, right? It's the same principle. You see how good that scales. We can add as many properties as we want. So what are the properties of Batman? Skills, powers. Rich, that's a good thing, right? What else? Strong. Fast. Sexy, maybe? Well, I don't know. Whatever.
Leave it for Robin.
Robin. You do that. I'm not going to do that. Powers of Robin. Stupid? That's not a power. It's green. She's green, right?
Green,
yeah. He has a mask. That's fast. Invisible? No, he's not invisible. No, anyway. Right, and finally, Wonder Woman. She's fast. She's pretty, and she's smart. Okay? Will it work? Yes or no? No. Why? Exactly. Actually, let me put both functions together. Otherwise, it's a bit complicated going up and down all the time. So we got DC Comics, and then here we have our hero component. So I want to display, I'll tell you the business requirement, and you'll tell me how to solve it. I want to display in a big title, but not as big as the name, the powers between the title and the image. Say it again? H3, okay, where? H3? Under the image. No, I want it before the image. H3, right? H3 is smaller than H1, right? This is basic HTML. And then what? What happens if we put that? Will it work? Yes, correct. This is a React thingy. Remember, when you want to access JavaScript inside of HTML, like this case, you need to surround the expression with curly brackets. Will it work? Yes? No, it works. Of course it works, right? So this was the most important thing we explained today. Let me recap. If you want to reuse the same piece of code, you know when you want to go on holiday, you go to Ryanair or EasyJet and you select dates, you go to calendars, right? That's the same component. We are reusing the same component. Same with our hero component. And then we can customize the behavior of each instance of the hero component. Is there any question?
Yeah, one question.
Yep.
In the div line, row number 25, there's
Yep.
a column that
Yep.
equals.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point, right? There's a typo here. So that's, yeah, that's a good point, actually. So that should be like that. Yeah, it works. Cool. Any question, guys? So we're going to leave it here. First of all, thank you all for attending this session. It was a bit packed, but I hope you learned something today. I'll upload the video to YouTube probably tomorrow. And just the last thing, if anyone is interested here, we are running a bootcamp. The places for the next edition are pretty much sold out, but if anyone is interested, you know that you can go to the website, which is codely.com, and then in there you can just book your place, right? Now, I invite you to stay here for a while. I'm going to bring beer, soft drinks. So if you want to catch up, you want to talk about anything, if you want to play ping pong, we can stay here for a while, right? Apart from that, thank you for coming. Thank you very much to Alex as well for your contribution. I'm looking forward to see you soon. Thank you, guys.